Hello everyone. This is an English version of the video that I had done in Tamil about work visas in UK, and eventually, what are the work visas that allow you to settle down in UK, get an ILR, and eventually get a British citizenship. So basically, coming into UK for work, what are the visas available, what are the visa types available, and how the rules have changed over the number of years. For people following my channel closely, you'll know that I post video content in Tamil and English, first in Tamil, and based on people asking for the same content, I post it in English as well. So one of the reasons I had done this video specifically was because a lot of people were asking questions when I started my vlogs, specifically about visas and the fact that they were getting offers or they were getting emails from agencies saying that they'll get them a visa, but most of it turned out to be incorrect or false or fake information. So I'd even done a video about that separately. So I just wanted to do a video so people are aware that these are the rules, these are the visas available, and make it a bit more clearer for people trying to apply or trying to come into UK, or even people who are already working in UK. I'll tell you by starting with how I came to UK. So in 2002, in the Home Office of UK introduced a new visa system called Tier 1, or it was called HSMP at that time, Highly Skilled Migrant Program. So this was the first time in UK where you don't need a sponsor, or you didn't need a sponsor, or you didn't need any company or organization to provide you a visa or sponsorship for coming into UK from a work perspective. So the Highly Skilled Migrant Program allowed individuals to take a visa on their own based on eligibility criteria and come into UK, and then you can basically search for a job without having a job offer. You can come into UK and you can search for a job with this kind of visa, and then you can work for any employer. You're not restricted by one particular employer who's then sponsoring you. So those were the advantages of the Highly Skilled Migrant Program, HSMP as it was called, and it was introduced in 2002. So I came through this visa in 2007. I did my own research. I didn't go to any companies, or I didn't go to any agencies. I did my own research. I read through all the documentation, prepared all my application, and I applied on my own, and I got the visa, and I got the entry clearance to come into UK. So I came into UK, and I searched for a job after coming into UK, and eventually in Tier 1, as it was called later, Tier 1 General as it was called later, and HSMP, it allowed you to work in the UK for a 5-year period. And after you have completed the 5-year period, they gave you the permanent residency, the option to get indefinite leave to remain. And once you stay in indefinite leave to remain for 1 year, you can then become a citizen of UK. So it was a very clear 6-year immigration program that the UK government had introduced at 2002. So it stayed in rule. I mean, it stayed active till about April 2011. So in April 2011, the UK government actually stopped the Tier 1 General Program, or the HSMP program, and it is no longer active for the last 8 years now. So if there is no decision as to whether the UK government will bring it back, it could come back in a later period, but as of now, it stands permanently closed, and there is no indication as to whether it will be brought back at any point in time in the future. The other major change that happened was for Tier 2 ICT. So I'll explain what Tier 2 ICT is. Tier 2 ICT is intra-company transfer. So this is basically when an employee is working in an Indian company or the Indian branch of a company for 12 months. Once they have completed 12 months in an organization, if that company has a branch in UK or has a requirement in UK for a client or for any organization that it provides service to, it can bring the Indian employee to UK through an intra-company transfer. So this ICT visa was called as Tier 2 ICT visa. Even for those people who are coming, like for example, people working in Infosys and all those IT companies in India were coming to UK through this Tier 2 ICT program. And when those individuals come to UK through the Tier 2 ICT, they also had the same option like a Tier 1 General, wherein once they have completed a 5-year stay in UK, they were also given an option to get permanent residency or indefinite leave to remain. And after 1 year of staying in ILR, they also had the option of becoming a British citizen. So the immigration process was pretty much the same. Only difference was that they can only work for that Indian organization that have brought them to UK through the Tier 2 ICT program. Now, even this got changed in 2010. That Tier 2 ICT people or Tier 2 ICT resources were no longer allowed to get a permanent residency or an indefinite leave to remain after 2010. So, any new people who had come after 2010 through the Tier 2 ICT intra-company transfer through any of these Indian companies, the maximum period that they can stay in UK was only 5 years. And after completing 5 years, they had to go back to India or out of the country. And there was a cooling off period of 12 months where they had to live outside of UK, and they can come back to UK only after this 12-month cooling off period had completed. So that was another major change from a home office, from an immigration rule perspective, where earlier they were allowing the Tier 2 ICT people to have an option of getting permanent residency, ILR, and British citizenship, but that got changed in 2010 as well. That was one of the other changes that happened. Now, what are the current options available? So we'll divide this into three categories now for people who have come into UK and studying in UK. So all the students who've come on a Tier 4 visa and they have finished their studies. And then the second category is people who, like I said, people who've come on an ICT visa or already working in UK through any other way, and they are looking to settle down in UK. The third category is for people who are not working in UK and who don't have an option of coming into UK through an intra-company transfer. Their company is not sending them, or they don't have an option of coming through that method. So it's for people who are looking for work in India, from India to work in UK. So we'll divide into three categories. The first category, like I said, for students who've come into UK, they would have come in on a Tier 4 visa. So either you do your undergraduate or postgraduate, you will get a Tier 4 visa for the duration of your course, plus a couple of months or a short window of buffer after that completion of course. You will get, that's the duration that you'll get the Tier 4 visa for. So if you complete the graduation on your course, you will have to go back to India. So what are the options available that you have as a Tier 4 student to continue to work in UK or to stay in UK? So there are three options that I am aware of. The first option is as a Tier 4 student, once you've completed or when you are studying, you can apply for a company and get a Tier 2 general visa. So the Tier 2 general visa is when a UK company which has the sponsorship or which has the certificate of sponsorship for or license to sponsor a Tier 2 general visa will then hire an employee or hire a student and to work for their UK company, and then provide sponsorship for them to work in UK. That sponsorship is called a Tier 2 general. Now, in a Tier 2 general, you can still stay for 5 years, work in the Tier 2 general for 5 years, and the option to get an ILR and further to get a British citizenship is still open. So unlike Tier 2 ICT intra-company transfer, where after 5 years you no longer have the option of an ILR, in Tier 2 general you still have that option open. So as a student, once you've finished your graduation, you can find an employer who's willing to hire you and also give you a sponsor, and thereby you can continue to work in UK and get a indefinite leave to remain. The second option is for postgraduate, especially PhD students. There is a postgraduate and doctorate extension scheme that is available for 12 months, which allows you to look for a job for a longer period. So it gives you an additional 12 months after you've completed your graduation to allow you to search for a job during that 12-month period. Now that is not available for undergraduates and normal post-graduation. It's only available for certain kind of postgraduates, especially the PhD students. The third option is if you are If you have a business plan or if you have a business idea, then you can submit your business plan to, there are two governing bodies. These two bodies are Department of International Trade (DIT) and UK Higher Education Institution. Either of these two bodies can approve your business plan, and if you have a business plan that gets approved, then you can apply for a Tier One Graduate Entrepreneurship Scheme. This allows you to start your own business or take over an existing business and run that business. So that needs to be your plan, and you also need to show the funding required for that visa. Now, once you've successfully run the Tier One Graduate Entrepreneurship Scheme, you can then convert it after a period to a Tier One Entrepreneurship General Entrepreneurship Scheme. And in that Tier 1 entrepreneurship scheme, once you've run the business for a total of 5 years, then you still have the option of getting an indefinite leave to remain, staying in UK permanently. So these are the three options that I am aware of for Tier 4 students. Now, the second category is for people who have come into UK, like I said, on Tier 2 ICT or intra-company transfer, and they don't have an option of getting an ILR. So what are your other options? The easiest option, or the first option that I would think, is if you are married, then your spouse can work in UK, and they can apply for they can find a job with a Tier 2 sponsor or a UK employer who's willing to give them a Tier 2 general sponsorship. So you can continue to work in a Tier 2 ICT, and they can try to find another job or find a job in UK with a UK employer who can then give them a sponsorship. And once they get a job and a sponsorship, then you can convert into a dependent visa of their Tier 2 general, thereby allowing you to get your indefinite leave to remain or remain permanently in UK. The other option is, obviously, you can search for a job on your own, and then you can get your Tier 2 general, you can get your Tier 2 ICT into a Tier 2 general, but then the only restriction is, again, you have a cooling off period, that if you come into UK on a Tier 2 ICT intra-company transfer and you manage to find an employer, a UK employer who is willing to give you a Tier 2 general, you still need to go back to India, work for 12 months as a cooling off period, and only then you can come back into a UK employment with a Tier 2 general visa. Now, the other option of avoiding this 12-month cooling off period is by getting a Tier 1 visa. So like I said, Tier 1 general visa is closed. So what is the Tier 1 option available? So this is called as the Tier 1 exceptional talent, and this is given only to a very few number of people based on a lot of eligibility criteria. So the key criteria is that you should be an expert in your field, and you should be able to prove that you are an expert in your field. I would say that anyone who's probably worked in a field for a minimum of 10 years would probably be qualified for this kind of visa. And even then, you need to probably get a letter of recommendation or a letter of recognition from at least two references. One should be either a recognized expert in that field, or it should be someone very high up in your organization who is willing to give you a reference saying that I know this person is an expert in this field. So once you have these two references, you need to write up your CV and also write up your explanation as to why you think you are an exceptional talent with the supporting references, and then apply. And it is not very clear like a Tier 1 visa that it used to be, like a points-based system. It is based on an evaluation criteria, and you may or may not get selected for it. But the good news is that till last year, there were only 1,000 visas that were being given every year for Tier 1 exceptional talent. From this year onwards, they've increased that number to 2,000 visas for people who are already working in UK. Now, because this is not a very commonly known visa, and because this is requires a lot of work to be done in terms of documentation and in terms of writing it up, not many people are aware of it and apply for the visa as well. So the number of applicants will also be lesser. So if you are a recognized expert in your field, and if you're able to prove it, you will stand a good chance of getting it. I know a few good friends of mine who've got this visa as well. The third criteria, like I said, is for people who are looking for work from India. Now, the chances of people who have never come into UK but have good experience getting a job in UK with a sponsorship. So you need to get a job in UK with an employer who's willing to give you a tier two general sponsorship. The chances of it are very, very less. The reason I say this is because a lot of people who are very good in terms of their experience and skill sets, they come into UK either through ICT or through various other methods, and they don't find sponsor, they don't find job even after being in UK and being able to prove that they have the skills required for the job, and they have to go back. So the chances of an employer willing to sponsor is lesser, but it's still possible. There are a lot of employers who do employ people from outside of UK, and they are willing to sponsor for the right candidate. So I've posted a separate video on how to do a job search from India or from outside UK for an employer or with an employer who's willing to sponsor as well. So the version is available, and I'll post an English version of that as well. So one of the reasons I put this warning or a disclaimer explicitly is because I've seen a lot of people emailing me with clarifications, questions. A lot of agencies are sending them fake offer letters saying that if you pay £350 or 25,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees, we will get you a tier two sponsor, we'll get you a visa for UK. And these are people who've never worked outside of India, who probably have very less work experience, 2 to 3 years. So you have to be very clear and very aware of all of the fake agencies and all of the companies that are trying to cheat you of your money. And that's one of the reasons why I made this video, with the full clarity of what are the visa options available and what's the eligibility criteria, and what are the options available for you to come into UK. So hopefully this has been helpful, and if you are aware of someone who's trying to find a job in UK, or who's going through this kind of process, you can refer this content to them, or if you are benefiting from it, give a like and post your comment. Again, and I'll share my email ID in the description box as well. So if you have any clarifications, if you have any doubts, you can send your clarifications and doubt to me. And if there is enough questions, then I'll probably post a follow-up video as well onto this. So hopefully this has been useful to you, and with your support, I'll probably continue posting more videos like this. Thank you very much.